What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope all doing well. We're going to start with a little bit of sad news. Unfortunately, it came out yesterday that Willie Mays, one of the greatest players in the history of Major League Baseball, passed away yesterday. He was 93 years of age. Rest in peace to an absolute legend, 24-time All-Star. I believe he won 2 World Series. He was an absolute legend. He was, from what I've heard, an amazing person off the field as well. Everyone who knew him, former players, former, in every sport, like former players in other sports. You've had former President Barack Obama release a statement saying, he got to know Willie Mays and he was such a wonderful man. So rest in peace to a legend on and off. The Stanley Cup was last night. It was Game 5. It shifted back to Florida. Edmonton's dominating 8-1 win in Game 4 to avoid the sweep, and they continue to stay alive with a 5-3 victory in Game 5. They went up, 1 point went up 3-0, and then 4-1. Florida kind of worked their way back. They made it 4-2. They eventually made it 4-3. Edmonton got an empty net goal in the last minute to ice the game. But Edmonton hangs on. They win 5-3 as the series shifts back to Edmonton for Game 6, which will be Friday night. So Florida, they've been rolling for this whole playoffs. They've clearly been the best team in this postseason. Didn't have much trouble in the first round at all. You beat the Boston Bruins in 6 games, beat the New York Rangers, who were the best team in the league this year in the regular season in 6 games. And you went up 3-0 on Edmonton. And all of a sudden, you've lost 2 in a row. You get destroyed in Game 4. Now you lose Game 5. All of a sudden, you might have some doubts on this team when you're just rolling. It's like, there's nothing no one that could possibly beat us. Then all of a sudden, you get shellacked in Game 4, and then you lose at home, and all of a sudden you have to go back on the road. Also in the series, and then you got to go back on the road. And if you lose that, now you have obviously you have Game 7 where anything can happen. Obviously, at that point, it's a 1-game season. Doubt might be starting to creep in. That's why I was saying if the Dallas Mavericks were able to win Game 5 against the Boston Celtics, all of a sudden, yes, a team's never come back from 3-0, but now all of a sudden, if you're Boston, you steamrolled everybody in the playoff. You beat Miami in 5 games in the first round. You beat Cleveland in 5 in the second round. You swept Indiana in the conference finals. You're up 3-0 on Dallas. And then, all right, so you get torched in Game 4. And then if you were to lose at home, now you have to go back to Dallas for Game 6. Also, you have a series now. And if you lose, now it's a 1-game season in Game 7 where anything can happen. That's why I said if they lose Game 5, now you start to worry like, now start to slip away. Until Dave Portnoy, the president of Barstool, he tweeted out before Game 5, or the day before. It's like my concern level right now is 5%. If they lose Game 5, it'll be, I think it was like 96%. And so it was a great Dave Portnoy when what he said, but he was right. Like, all right, up 3-1, how dominant you've been out, in Game 1 through 3, you shouldn't be that worried. But if you lose Game 5, you should be pretty damn worried. Now you're going back on the road for Game 6. But they're of course you're able to get it done. But Game 6 coming up on Friday between Florida and Edmonton. Obviously, a big game from Connor McDavid in Game 5. He's completely come alive. He might win Conn Smith if he loses, to be honest. He has the most assists by any player in playoffs history, in NHL history. Wayne Gretzky's record. He's getting near his goal record as well. He's having a historically great postseason. The best player in National Hockey League. He's won the MVP 3 times. And he's trying to see if he can go his team to an incredible comeback and win a Stanley Cup. If he wins a cup, you got to put him in the all-time great conversation. Before we continue on, I want to salute Barclay Goodrow. Rangers just waived him the other day. It was yesterday they waived him. If he gets claimed, then it will help the Rangers out financially. They wouldn't have any dead cap in 2026. If not, they will probably buy him out. They would have like over $6.5 million left to pay him on the buyout. They probably do have a little over $1 million a year for the next 6 years or so. Not pretty, but He's always been a good penalty killer, and he's very good in the playoffs. He had 8 goals in this postseason, but he had 4 goals in the regular season. He is due about $3.5 million, just under that. He's on the fourth line. It's a little much for a fourth line player. Rangers are in a cap crunch. They clearly need another piece or two if they want to win a Stanley Cup, and he's kind of had to be a couch GM. Not that surprised. I liked him. He was a good Ranger. Chelsea had a nice career. He won 2 cups in Tampa. He was a good penalty killer. He was a good player before, but the guy's he's a fourth liner making $3.5 million a year. That's a little much needed though. And breaking news that happened a little earlier: the Detroit Pistons fired Monty Williams after just 1 season on the job. He has 5 years and over $65 million left on his contract, and he has been let go by the Detroit Pistons. Look, I've said many times that I didn't think he did a great job this year. The lack of effort and defense Detroit showed this year was alarming, and it always thought he was an overrated coach. He was okay in New Orleans. Then he goes to Phoenix, and he was good, not great, and he was not good in Detroit. He's not a horrible, he's an okay coach, I'd say. Didn't do a whole lot in New Orleans, but the team wasn't phenomenal. In Phoenix, look, Durant's a coach killer for sure, and obviously, those guys need to step up. Durant and Devin Booker did not show up in games 5 and 6 against Denver in that playoff series. And obviously, the front office, decided, we're gonna, let's throw this thing together. He makes a trade for Kevin Durant, gives him everything for Kevin Durant at the trade deadline. Throws it together with Devin Booker and agent Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. And he gives them 25 games to put together. And Durant was hurt for most of the rest of the regular season. He ended up getting hurt. So you only play 7 more games with those guys in the regular season. Detroit, look, the team's horrible. They're a horrible organization. That team's horrible. But the fact that you had the same group, plus you draft a talented player, at least defensively, Alsar Thompson, always young guys another year under their belt, and someone got worse. It's a little alarming. And they just look dead all the time. They didn't play an ounce of defense. They couldn't get a rebound to save their life. There's 3 legit bigs on that team. Jalen Durant was a talented young player. Wiseman and nothing else has size, and then Isaiah Stewart's the guy with some size as well. And they're last in the league in rebounding. They're last in the league in defense. The fact that he wasn't starting Jay Navi first, the media to let him know that you should be starting a really talented shooting guard. Your team took 5th overall only a year or 2 ago is alarming. And he's a bit overrated. He's obviously a great man. He's obviously been through a lot. I think he makes a really good assistant coach, and he has in the past, but as a head coach, he's just mediocre. As for should he been fired? If it wasn't for the money, I would say probably, but because he's got $65+ million left on his deal, and he's under contract for 5 more years, Detroit just, they cycle through coaches like this left and right. They've been doing this for years. It's hard to, find any stability when you're doing that. Obviously, they brought in a new president of basketball operations, Trehan Langdon, the GM from New Orleans, and they gave him the green light to kind of build, the roster and the team structure the way he sees fit. So obviously, they parted away with the GM Troy Weaver, and now he's letting go of Monty Williams to hire his own coach. I would have probably given him another year, because although I don't think he's a great head coach, and I do not think he did a great job this year, that team is very bad. They only won 14 games. That's bad. There was no coach that was going to get 30 wins out of this team. That was never going to be the case. 14 is it's dude, we won 17 a year ago. We're hoping for maybe not be the worst team in the NBA, maybe win 25 games, but 14 is buddy, what are we doing here? So I'd probably give him 1 more year. If he shows, if he starts to show some improvement, maybe they sniff 30 wins this year. All right, maybe you show some sort of improvement. They have to pick him the draft this year again. Also, you go out and win 16 games again next year, then obviously you got to get rid of him. But at the same time, I've been critical of him in the past. I don't think he's that great of a coach, to be honest. As an X's no guy, I think he's overrated. He's a very respectable man. He's been able to establish an identity pretty quickly for everything he's been with. He's a very respected guy in the locker room. He's got both things going from a lot of coaches. They are either good X's and O's, but can't really manage the locker room, or there might be a great guy, but not really a great coach. He's at least a okay X's and O's guy, and he's got the ability to gain respect from the locker room pretty quickly once he gets hired. But I don't overall think he's that great of an X's and O's guy. So those guys, really good guy, but not the greatest head coach. And the Indiana Pacers re-signed Pascal Siakam. He is they've offered him a max, and he is going to sign it. 4-year deal worth about $190 million. Look, Siakam's a really good player. Definitely an all-star, borderline all-NBA guy. Really good scorer. Pretty good shooter for a guy who's 6'11", really good defender. Indiana give it 3 first-round picks again with the trade deal from the Toronto Raptors. And I don't think he's a max player, a $40 million a year guy, but that's just the way, everyone says NBA is getting overpaid. Freaking Desmond Bane got a $200 million contract a year or two ago from the Memphis Grizzlies. And he's a guy that will, in my amateur, first average 20 points a game. But he's a great player, a big piece of what Indiana does, and looks like, as expected, he would be locked in. All right, I'm going to do my NBA offseason series, and I'm actually going to start the NHL offseason series after that, and then we'll close this thing out. So, the NBA today, we're going to do 2 teams. We're going to do the 7 and 8 seeds in the Western Conference. Let's start with the New Orleans Pelicans. Come to see we're once again in the play-in. We're able to squeeze out of it. If you lose to the Lakers, you were able to get past the Sacramento Kings in the second play-in round. But obviously, they were swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Zion got hurt in that game against the Lakers. And they were looking like they were probably going to win if he didn't get hurt. And did not play against Sacramento, but they were able to get past them. But then obviously got them in the first round against Oklahoma City. They got swept. But they have a decent core. Obviously, Zion is what he is. He was seen mostly healthy this year. He finally got into good physical shape, which he hadn't in a while. Obviously, you got Brandon Ingram's a really good player. CJ McCollum's a good player. I like Herb Jones. Nathan Daniels is a good young player. Hawkins is a guy who didn't play a whole lot this year, but I like him. Trey Murphy. They have a pretty good core. Even Jose Alvarado's a good defender. Jonas Valanciunas is definitely their biggest free agent. He's a solid big. Only 32 years old. And Willie Gomez is also a free agent. They have the 21st pick in the draft. They have a non-tax payment of a biannual exception. They got $24 million for the first apron. Got almost $35 million for the second apron. So they can do something. They're probably going to lose Jonas Valanciunas, which is a guy I like. I think an underrated player. He's a solid big man. He's a good scorer. He can shoot the ball a little bit. He's a good defender. Really good rim protector. They're probably going to lose him in free agency. I look at this team, and they need a really good point guard. Ingram's really good. I'll just talk about trading him. He's due $36 million next year. He's only got a year left on his deal. Apparently, he's going for a 4-year extension worth $50 million a year. No one doesn't want to give him that. Also, this team has a lot of trouble staying healthy. Brandon Ingram has battled a lot of injuries. CJ McCollum has battled injuries since he got there. Zion, obviously, since he got drafted, has had a lot of injury concerns. So they've had a lot of trouble staying on the court. This team, when healthy, is a very good team. To me, is a top 5 team in the Western Conference, talent-wise, when healthy, but they obviously have not been able to put it all together. They've battled injuries and things like that, and they've been kind of stuck in that mediocrity team, 43-win playoff play-in team. You come out of the play, and then you get slumped in the first round by the top team in the West, whether it's Denver or Oklahoma City or whoever it is. But they got a nice core overall. McCollum, if healthy, is a very good player. People forget him and Damian Lillard in Portland were one of the best backcourts ever. Ingram's a great player. I like Herb Jones. He's a really nice wing piece. Trey Murphy is the same way. Dyson Daniels, a kid you drafted a couple of years ago, hasn't shown a whole lot yet, but he's still young. Hawkins is a guy you drafted last year who, nothing else got the ability to shoot the basketball. Jeremiah Robinson, there's another young guy, hasn't really shown a whole lot. You took a flower to EJ Liddell a year or two ago, hasn't shown a whole lot. Alvarado is a good defender. To me, they need a really good point guard. If they can go after like a Deontay Murray in Atlanta, that would definitely benefit them. If they can still steal like a manual quickly away from Toronto, though I doubt they would. Toronto get up OG Anunoby, who's a very good player for him. They have he's a restricted free agent, and they can control that. I doubt. I guess they'll probably match any offer that team gave him, but might be worth a shot. But they need a really good point guard, title together. And then if you get a guy like Deontay Murray in there, you pair him with CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion. Y'all know when he's healthy, Rich's full potential is a stud. And they got guys like Trey Murphy, Dyson Daniels, Jordan Hawkins, Alvarado, Herb Jones. That's a really good team. Also, the West is really good, but there's no reason they can't be the 4 or 5 seed in the West, at least win a playoff series. And to me, if they don't, Willie Green might get fired. He's not been able to take the next step in this group. This group was mostly healthy this year, at least down the stretch for the first time in a couple of years. And they were playing well. They were playing well in down the stretch. You lose a couple of big games down the stretch, you end up with a team that was looking like they'd be at least the 6, chance to possibly steal the 5 seed. Which they steal the 5 would have been huge because now you get a first-round matchup with the Clippers. We all know the Clippers were a throw to the first round. They were staring a first-round exit in the face. That's the 6. I mean, playing Minnesota would have been a tough matchup. They would not won that series, but they jump into the play. You end up losing to the Lakers. Zion gets hurt late in that game. You lose to the Lakers, and you were able to sneak past Sacramento. But obviously, without Zion, you got slumped in the first round, getting swept by Oklahoma City. But they need a really good point guard for that. If they can't put it together, they got to do something. They got to make a change. So someone's got to get moved. They got to make a coaching change. They'll have to do something. So that's my recommendation to New Orleans Pelicans. Up next is the Los Angeles Lakers. All right, so everything that we're hearing is saying JJ Redick is going to be the next head coach of the Lakers. I'm not as positive as others. Obviously, got the whole thing, got the pocket of LeBron, blah, blah, blah. You know the deal with him. Lakers in recent years have lowballed a lot of coaches. Before they hired Frank Vogel, they were trying to bring in Ty Lue. He had been, he was available because he had been fired by Cleveland about a year or two prior. And they lowballed him. He said no, and of course he ended up taking a job with the Los Angeles Clippers. Of course, they're big rival, obviously playing the same stadium, all that. And you saw this year they tried to lure away probably the best coach in college basketball now, Dan Hurley from UConn, and they lowballed him. You think, all right, he's gonna get at least $100 million to leave. They gave him 70. He obviously said no and stayed at UConn. So they've been doing they do this a lot. They had a setup for Frank Vogel, which was not, I don't think wasn't even a bad hire. And then LeBron got him fired. Then they didn't have access to the top candidates because of that, because of not good things about that job. And they brought in Darvin Ham, LeBron fired him. So also the 2 big things we've heard are JJ Redick and James Borrego have been 2 biggest names connected. Rigger used to be coaching Charlotte. He's now an assistant in New Orleans. I'll say JJ Redick was more player. I'll see he's an ESPN analyst. I'll see as a pocket with LeBron James. It's definitely obvious why he's a candidate for this job. I've heard speculations from fans that the fans now want Monty Williams and that Detroit let him go. To me, LeBron's the coach anyway. I think it's pretty clear. Obviously, the big question is, what does LeBron do? Well, LeBron got a player option for $51.4 million. He can opt out. Obviously, Ronnie's coming into the league. Whole rumor that he's going to go where Ronnie goes. So if the Lakers rep him, he'll stay. If the Suns rep him, he'll go to Phoenix. If somebody else reps him, he'll go there. Looking, free agents wise, Taurean Prince and Max are the only 2 which guys they have. Those guys are bench warmers. They have a 17th pick and an M pick 55 in the second round. You have a taxpayer mid-level. Only about $10 million to the second apron because, when you give up all your draft picks and pay a crap ton of money for LeBron James and Anthony Davis, there's not much else to go around. This team is not that good. LeBron's going to be 40. Still a good player, but not the same. Anthony Davis is going to be 31. He's really good, but, was healthy this year, but obviously previous 4 or 5 years had a lot of trouble staying on the court. And he can be inconsistent at times. James Russell's got a player out for $18.6 million. He's probably going to opt out. Hachimura is fine. He's a decent Brady gun on the bench. To me, nothing more. Lakers can tighten up a little bit too much. Reeves, I think, is a little overrated, but decent player. Pretty good scorer, can shoot, pretty good defender. He's a good player. I wouldn't say he's a great player. Gabe Bink did not have a good year. That's why he never signed Heat role players. The Heat make them look better than they are. Vanderbilt's a good defender, but that's about it. Field didn't show a whole lot in his first year. They didn't really even play Christian Woods. He's a good player. Jackson Hayes isn't any good. Cam Reddish is a complete bust. This team is not that good. What they need, they really need a really good scoring guard to go off of LeBron and Anthony Davis. That's really what they need. And they probably need one more really good wing. I don't know how they're going to get it. They don't have the money to do it. And, you think, all right, could they trade for maybe connect to Troy Young? Did they connect up to Deontay Murray? I don't know what you're giving up. If you trade Reeves, Hachimura, Huchafino. To me, they don't really have a lot to give in a trade. Don't have that many picks, but they have their own first this year. They have New Orleans' first next year. They have their own first in 26. They have like a first rounder a year for the most part from 2030. So they're not, the Oklahoma City Thunder, but also the Phoenix Suns to draft picks. So to me, they gotta. Their best case is, I just blow this thing up. Honestly, you're gonna be stuck in the play-in as long as LeBron's there. If you don't want to do things his way, I just trade the dude. I know they're never going to do that. But assuming you're gonna either he opts in or most likely he opts out, and then you resign to that 3-year max contract for slightly more money he's already making. You have him, you have Davis. I guess trying to start point guard. Everyone's like Trae Young, Trae, LeBron, Anthony Davis with no depth and a lot of defense and possibly a rookie head coach. Although I think Greg will make a good head coach. He's a really good X's and O's guy, knows the game out, a former player. This is not the job for him to start by any means. And, I don't see that that's going anywhere. If they get Trae Young. They're better off signing a bunch of depth pieces, honestly. Going up their bench. Trying to get a little better defensively and depth-wise. But they need a better guard, and they really could blow this thing up, to be honest. All right, so let's go to my NHL all-season series now. Same thing I'm doing with the NBA. Free agency starts July 1st for the NHL, so I'm going to be doing about 4 teams every day or so. So I'm going to start with the last 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to start with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Of course, they just fired their coaches today. Pat Columbus was just let go. I don't know why, to be honest. Their team's bad. No other way to say it. You look at their roster, they have $22.2 million in cap space. They have a decent amount of cap space this year. Also a couple years, you land Johnny Gaudreau in that big contract. Hasn't looked at any success. I heard Line was due $8.7 million for another 2 years for he's on the trade block. You have Zach Werenski. This team is terrible defensively. I think Merzlikins, the goalie, I think he's pretty good. The defense is so bad. They gotta get better defensively. This team is horrible. They want to just tear this thing down. This is not a good organization. But by any means, I love I love John Davidson, obviously former Rangers goalie from Rare Angel now, so he was the president of hockey operations for the Rangers for a few years. I love him, but just cycling through coaches like this, you brought in you get rid of Torrell, you bring in Brad Larson, and he showed some promise his first year. He was almost in the playoffs in the really tough Eastern Conference, and then next year, the team you don't do anything, and the team regresses and horrible, and then he got let go. You hired Mike Babcock, who was there for like a month or two. Then more stuff came out about him, so he had to resign. You threw, you promoted your assistant coach who had never been an head coach before, Pascal Benson into the fire. Threw him to the fire. It was a bad team. The team was bad, and they fire him. Like, I don't know what you're expecting to happen. So to me, they should just start over. Just completely start over. This team is bad, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Well, next is the Montreal Canadiens, another team that's been in a rebuild for a while now. They're kind of being held down by the Carey Price contract. He obviously hasn't played in a couple of years. He obviously had a lot of injuries, and he had some mental health problems. He ended up retiring. He's due $10.5 million next year, as well as the year after. You wonder, maybe could they try buying him out? They can also themselves giving him an 8-year, $84 million extension in 2018. 2019 season, they felt, he was his career obviously ended a lot sooner than they thought it was going to. But, they're kind of that contract is kind of weighing them down. You still have Jeff Petrie and Jake Allen's contract you got to pay a little bit next year. You only have $7.9 million in cap space. They obviously have been in the rebuild for a while now. But, you have some young pieces like I like Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield. Two guys I really like. You have Kirby Dash is there. Alex Newhook's the guy that got the potential. Even Jake Gammons is pretty good. Still a vet there in Brendan Gallagher. They need to keep building. Obviously, you drafted Slavowski. Much better to pronounce that right. You drafted him last year. Took him with I think he was the first pick in the draft. So he's a good young player. I think just keep building up this young talent. You have some bets you can move. Brendan Gallagher, you've been there a while. Maybe Josh Anderson. Let me do $5.5 million next year. He signed for another few years. Maybe Christian Dvorak. He's got $4.4 million on him. He's got a no trade clause, so it would be tough. But to me, just keep building. Someone else, somebody's there, and just keep building piece by piece. But up next is the Ottawa Senators, who seem like they've been bad for a very long time. I thought this year, you brought in a lot of pieces in the offseason. You were running Claude Giroux, running Vladimir Tarasenko. You make the trade for Alex DeBrincat. I thought it was a team that could be a lot better, had a really strong top six, could sneak into the playoffs. Did not happen. They were very bad this year. They're making a coaching change. You got a young guy in Tim Stutzel. Brady Tkachuk is another really good young player that they got. Jake Sanderson's a really good young defenseman, as is Thomas Chabot. I like Josh Norris. Drake Batterson's very good. Other than that, there isn't a whole lot. They're not good defensively at all. You have Jakob Chak is the guy you got there. Your goalie is Julius Korpisalo. It's just okay. They got to get better defensively. Right now, they have $12.6 million in cap space. It's not a whole lot. It's just an okay amount of cap space. Giroux doesn't have a whole lot left. He's 37 years old. He's going to be 37. He's due $6.5 million next year. I don't know if we can move that, but they got to get defensive goaltending. They have a pretty talented top six, but they could use a little bit more in their bottom six, and they need to get a lot better defensively, and they got to get some better goaltending. That's what I would do if I was Ottawa. Last but not least, the New Jersey Devils would have a breakout year last year, winning a playoff series, being really good. This year, you had the big offseason. You make the trade to get Tyler Toffoli. You make some moves. You lock up Timo Meier. Look like you have a chance to have a big year, and you completely fell flat on your face. You missed the playoffs, one of the worst teams in the league. But they need to go away. They need to go away bad, really bad. You have $21.2 million in cap space. You got to go after somebody. You started with Vitek Vanchek and Kira Schmidt this year. Vanchek has never been that great. He's always been a very mediocre goalie. Schmidt flashed as a backup last year. He was kind of masked by how bad the Rangers were in that first round playoff series a year ago offensively. And then in Carolina, he was horrible. In that second round series, he was not good. He's not good. Vanchek battled a lot of injuries. Schmidt was so bad. They put him in the minors at one point. At one point, they brought in, Jake Allen, who was terrible. They brought in the guy from the Sharks, who's Capo Kakami, traded him. Vanchek for him. He's horrible. He's slightly there at first, then kind of came back to earth. He's terrible. The guy got to go away. You have a lot of talent. Jock Hughes is obviously a great player. Still 23. Timo Meyer's great. You have to Brasco a good. Heater's a good player. You have Sullivan a lot. A good defenseman and Siegel Haller. You have so many pieces. W. Hamilton's obviously a great defenseman there. And you have this is a good team, but you need to get a goalie. Have to. That needs to be the first priority for the New Jersey Devils this fall season. And also, you make the coaching change. You let go of Libby Ruff, obviously, late in the season. You brought in the guy from Toronto. I don't remember his name. Chevy Keefe. Another coach. I think I'll sound higher by them. But all right. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.